morning, everyone. Bill Holleran and Tiffany here in the center, and once again, Cameron Nelson, our e-commerce and digital marketing expert, up helping us out from the Central Virginia SBDC, is on board to talk about e-commerce and digital marketing as an extension of the website seminar that he did 2 weeks ago. A number of you have communicated questions to me over the past 3 or 4 weeks, and I will be putting those into the chat. You are free, of course, to put questions into the chat. Cameron will do his presentation first, and then he will answer questions at the end of it. So I'm actually looking forward to this. That I think Cameron has forgotten more than I know about this subject, and I don't consider myself a slouch on the subject. So I'm looking forward to this. One little housekeeping item: make sure next week is Labor Day. The program will be held on September 7th, which is Wednesday. We'll have an entrepreneurial panel here. So just make sure you have made note of that in your schedule. With that, Cameron, thank you very, very much for being here, and we'll turn the presentation over to you.
Thanks, Bill, and welcome everybody to this morning's presentation on e-commerce and digital marketing. These are two separate topics that I normally teach on, and we're combining them today into this one presentation. And it makes sense because these do go hand in hand, and you're going to see throughout the presentation how, by utilizing the correct e-commerce and digital marketing strategies, it can help you build your business online and increase your online customer acquisition and your sales. So that's really the goal of the presentation. And again, I encourage you to think of questions as we go, and then we'll get to as many of them as we can at the end of the presentation. So let's jump right into it. We have 3 goals for the presentation today. The first one is to learn what websites and e-commerce platforms are going to be the best solution for you and your business. There's different options out there, and there's not a one-size-fits-all solution. So we're going to talk about that, and you're going to be able to identify what you think is going to be the best fit for you. Second, we're going to show you how to set up your e-commerce store and list your items for sale. And third, we're going to teach you how to refine your strategy. After you launch your store, what comes next with your digital marketing strategy, and how do you use those strategies and tactics to maximize your profits? So first, I want to talk about websites. And so I feel like your website, which is yourbusiness.com, is really your business's home base on the internet. Even if you have an e-commerce business and you're selling on Amazon or Etsy or Shopify or eBay, having a website is an integral part of your strategy. If you don't have a website, you're going to have face stiffer competition, and you're going to have kind of a less perceived quality online. Having a website allows you to increase your sales volume and your profit margins, and I'm going to talk about why. So let's talk about what are the different types of websites and which type of website you need for your business. A level 1 website is a very basic website, and this is better than having no website, but it's a simple website that has no shopping or e-commerce capabilities on the website at all. So if you're going to have just a service-based business and you only want information about your services and a contact form, then a basic website will serve your needs. But if you want to do anything above that, like sell products and monetize your website, you're going to need to move up to at least a level 2 website. This is a website that has links to your products and descriptions of products, but it offloads the shopping part of that, the e-commerce part, to a third-party provider like Amazon. So Amazon would complete the checkout. Moving up to a level 3, a robust level website integrates those shopping cart capabilities directly on your website. And this is a really good level if you are looking to build an e-commerce business, because you're going to have a higher brand reputation and brand image by having the shopping cart and the e-commerce kept on your own website, as opposed to having somebody move off to an Amazon or a Shopify or an eBay to complete the purchase. And because of that, you're going to be able to charge more money overall for your products and position yourself as a more premium brand and as a more premium company. And the 4th type of website is an advanced level website. This is needed if you're selling anything that's kind of more complicated than your traditional e-commerce products. So if you need things like video testimonials or video reviews, maybe you want a referral package, a referral system, or subscription packages, these types of things can be enabled with a level 4 website. So if you don't have any kind of website right now, you can get started with the basic level website for free. Wix.com and Squarespace.com are two options that I recommend a lot. Also, Weebly.com is an option. You can buy your domain name and you can set up a very simple website on those for free or next to free. You can also get landing pages from the major e-commerce platforms like Shopify, Etsy, and Amazon. And they'll allow you to customize a page for your store. But again, this is not going to give you that premium look that is really going to help accelerate your sales online. So a level 2 website is usually a good level to consider if you want to sell online. It's going to allow you to have a lot more customization on your website than a level 1. You're going to be able to build multiple product pages and list your products and have descriptions, but you're going to link to the third-party sites for the checkout process. And typically a website like this is not going to allow for any kind of a user login or subscription package or anything that's complex in the checkout process. A level 3 robust website is typically an investment of around $2,000 to $9,000, and it's going to allow you to target your market with greater customization. So some of the things that you can do with this type of website will be unique landing pages for different marketing campaigns. You can do A/B testing and other more advanced marketing strategies, which will help you increase your conversion rate, which is the number of people who visit your website and actually buy a product. So you want that as high as possible, and a robust level website will help you increase your conversion. And finally, level 4 website, again, is best if you have something complex to sell. Costs can typically range between $8,000 and $45,000 or more, depending on your needs specifically. And again, it can enable features like video sales, geolocation, subscription models for revenue generation. Your users can log in and manage their profile. All that stuff is possible with a level 4 website. So hopefully now you have some idea in your mind of what level you're at now, or if you don't have a website for your business, what level you should be at to enable your business online. I want to talk a little bit about the costs and ongoing operational expenses of running a website. First, you're going to have to pay for the hosting of a website. You're going to start by buying a domain name. This is about $20 a year, and this is the same no matter what level of website you have. So basic through advanced, $20 a year for the domain. And you're going to pay for a hosting fee, which is paying for that computer somewhere in the world that's hosting your website files. For a basic level website, you can get away with a free hosting plan in some situations. And if you decide to go for a paid hosting plan for various reasons, you can expect to spend about $50 a year. For a minimum level website, that goes up to about $100 a year. And you can see that scales up as you get into the more advanced level websites. Email is another critical part of a business online and having a good polished business image. And you can get by with a very basic, simple email address at your domain name, something like contact at or support at, or it could be your name at your domain name. About $1 a month or $12 a year is the cheapest email you can get that will be at your domain. But if you're going to go with the level 3 or 4 website, I recommend that you would get a more sophisticated email package powered by Google. So this gives you all the G Suite of apps like Google Docs and Calendar and Notes and Google Meet, and all that's included for $75 a year per email address. So that's usually a good investment to make to help your business. And the next category of expenses is paid ads. So once you build a website, typically your digital marketing and your ad spend is an integral strategy of how do you drive more people to your website and increase your sales. If you just have a basic level website, I don't recommend you would have paid ads running to go to this website. Normally, you're going to want to actually invest that money into upgrading the website to get a better return on your investment. So if you're already a level 2 website, you can expect to spend a minimum of $100 a month for paid ads. This is usually split between Facebook and Instagram and then Google, but there's other ways to also tap into your market with paid ads online. Robust level websites, you can expect to spend around $3,000 a year, and advanced level websites starting at around $10,000 a year and more, depending on your industry and your business. Another cost will be the development cost. So I do help a lot of small businesses build their websites either for free or using a platform like WordPress. That's certainly within the reach of every entrepreneur and every business owner is to build your own website. But if you don't have the time or the inclination to go down that road, and you want to hire somebody like a freelance web developer, you can expect to spend around $300 to $1,000 to build a basic level website. $750 to $3,000 to build a minimum level website, $2,000 to $9,000 for robust, and $8,000 to $45,000 for an advanced. And the last expense to be aware of is what's called SSL, or Secure Socket Layer, which just encrypts data entered on your website, like credit card information, and encrypts that before it sends it through the internet, which is actually a requirement by the banks. So if you just have a level 1 or 2 website, you're not taking credit card payments on that website, so you don't need to worry about this. A level 3 or 4 website, you probably will be taking credit card payments. And you can sometimes find a free SSL package or option, but not always. So expect to spend around $100 a year for that. So now I'm going to talk about the main 5 e-commerce platforms in the world. The goal of this is to help you identify which platform or platforms would be best for you to sell your products and services on. Usually this is best used in conjunction with your website. Like I said, your website is your home online, so you can consider some of these 5 as periphery sales channels and ways to have more users finding your products. Now keep in mind, all of these do take a fee that you don't have to pay on your own website sales. So ultimately you want to increase the percentage of sales on your website. But using these can be a good strategy for both the short, medium, and in some cases long-term, just depends on your business model and your industry. So the first one is Shopify. Shopify charges between $9 and $79 per month. And they have a transaction fee, which varies between 0% and 2%. They're extremely easy to set up. Anybody can create a Shopify account and start selling their products. And one disadvantage is that it doesn't really allow you to customize your checkout process very much. So if you have something, say, it's shoes and they come in different styles and sizes and patterns, then Shopify is not going to allow you to really display these well. And we're going to talk about how you can display products like that in a better way in a moment. The next is Etsy. And Etsy charges a 6.5% transaction fee plus a 20% fee per item. And then they also charge a payment processing fee of 3%. Etsy is focused on those handmade and handcrafted and vintage items, even art supplies. And they're also very easy to set up an account and post your products for sale. The next one is Facebook Shops, not to be confused with Facebook Marketplace. So Facebook Marketplace, some of you might know, is more like Craigslist, where people typically sell a certain one-off item for sale. Facebook Shops is really an e-commerce platform that's meant to help businesses who are looking to sell. You know, they have 100 of this product and 100 of that product. It manages your inventory and it does all those things for you. So that's the difference between Facebook Shops and Marketplace. Facebook Shops charges a 5% sales fee or 40 cents a listing per item of $8 or less. And it's geared towards small businesses and merchants. One advantage of Facebook is that it has 2.5 billion users, which is the second largest, which makes it the second largest search engine in the world after Google. So people go on Facebook all the time looking for goods and services to buy. And if you are listed on Facebook with your products, then you have a good chance of coming up in these search results, which can be a big benefit. Especially if you're already using the Facebook platform for your business, you already have a following there, it can make a lot of sense to sell on Facebook Shops. The next up is Amazon. I think we all know Amazon. It is the world's largest e-commerce platform. It charges $1 per item or $40 a month, and plus a fulfillment fee per item of $2 to $6. Now, one unique thing about Amazon is that they will warehouse and ship and handle returns for your items for you. And the more services you want them to provide, the more that fulfillment fee is. So it can be a big time saver for small businesses not to have to worry about the shipping and the inventory of their products. And Amazon has the best way to sell things that come in multiple sizes or colors or configurations. They offer a series of drop-down menus, which makes it very intuitive for buyers to find exactly what they're looking for. And the fifth one is Amazon Handmade. This is Amazon's response to really Etsy, and it helps people find these handmade and handcraft items like Etsy. There's no monthly fee on this platform, but there's a 15% fee on all sales, so it is quite possibly the most expensive option here. And you also need to qualify to sell here to submit an application, which the process takes over a month from my experience, and there's multiple rounds of phone calls and interviews and even video chats, so there's a whole lot of hoops you have to jump through. And you're not guaranteed to get in either. But if you do, Amazon Handmade can give you access to this kind of exclusive selling place on Amazon to sell your handmade items. So next, we're going to talk about these five in just a little bit more detail. We'll look through their homepages and see how they present themselves. And by the end of this, I hope you have an idea of which one or multiple of these would be the best to sell your products on. So Shopify talks about themselves as the platform that e-commerce is built on, and they offer a free 14-day trial where you'll spend no money and you won't pay any fees on the products you sell. So it's an easy, risk-free way to jump in and try Shopify. And you can see some of the products that they are focused on selling down towards the bottom. There's things like cosmetics, there's like food items and teas, there's clothing, and there are home decor things like pottery and plants and things like that. So Shopify is really a very general e-commerce platform where pretty much any product can be sold there. Now, one unique thing about Shopify is that they've recently launched an NFT marketplace. So NFT is non-fungible tokens, and that's part of the blockchain, which is an area of technology I'm quite interested in, and I do advise businesses on how to use. And so essentially, if you're selling a digital product like an audio file, an image file, a video file, anything that's digital can be made into an NFT and sold through Shopify's NFT platform. So if you were curious to learn more, you can go to shopify.com/NFT. They're the only e-commerce platform that currently offers anything like this. So it's a nice gateway to learn about NFTs and see if they're right for your business. And if you have questions about NFTs and how to use that for your business, then I'm happy to talk to you more about that. The next one is Etsy. Etsy is really focused on vintage items and handcraft items. They sell things like seasonal decorations, storage containers, personal gifts, a lot of things with jewelry and leather goods, wood goods, things like that. So if you're manufacturing and selling things that fit into these categories, Etsy can be a good place for you to look at because people come to Etsy specifically looking for these handmade and handcraft and art supply type items. The next is Facebook Shops. So again, this integrates very closely with Facebook. And if you're already using Facebook, it can make sense to sell on Facebook Shops. However, if you're not in love with Facebook's privacy policies and stuff, you might want to avoid this. You do have to give them access to all of your data, like anything on Facebook, and they do with that whatever they will, and they don't really tell you. So you will be part of the ecosystem if you decide to sell on Facebook. But then you do have access to their 2.5 billion users, which can create a lot of interest in your products, a lot of views of your product pages, and a lot of sales. So it's a good option if you already like the Facebook ecosystem. Amazon is a platform that I'm sure we're all familiar with. It's the world's largest e-commerce platform, and it has a really good way of displaying products and helping people find what they're looking for. And I think the advantage of Amazon is both of the fulfillment services, which can save a business a lot of time and money, but also the ability to sell products that come in different configurations, shapes, and sizes and colors. And the fifth is Amazon Handmade, which is just kind of a subset of Amazon made to compete with Etsy. So some of the things that they're obviously trying to help people sell here, like handmade soaps, clothing, bags, leather goods, candles, things like that. And I know that a lot of businesses that I met in Virginia are in these categories, so I've helped them get set up and selling on Amazon Handmade. Now, one thing to say both about Amazon and Amazon Handmade that is a risk here is that this platform has the worst cases of, I don't want to say corruption, but people knocking off your products. And it happens time and time again. And I've worked with businesses where this has happened, where if you have a successful product on Amazon, and in one case, it was a pasta company in Charlottesville, and a competitor, another company, basically saw that they were selling over $100,000 a month of pasta. They created an almost identical packaging and product and sold it slightly less, and they listed it, and they were actually getting a lot of the sales from the legitimate company. And the legitimate company contacted Amazon and complained, and Amazon did nothing. And this happens time and time again. It is a risk if you do end up selling at a high sales volume each month. If you're small and just starting out, it's not really much of a risk, but just keep it in mind that Amazon doesn't have a good way of handling these disputes or proving which company is the real one. And so it is a risk to be aware of if you do sell on Amazon. So next I want to talk about setting up your store. So whichever of these platforms you pick, you're going to go through the same steps next. You're going to find your product to sell. You're going to customize your e-commerce template, which is just the way your pages look on that e-commerce store, and you're going to add your products to sell. So when you're looking to find a product to sell, ask yourself several questions. Is it solving a customer pain point? And the bigger the pain, the bigger the profit margins of that product are going to be. Does it appeal to an enthusiast or hobbyist crowd? And if it does, then you can tap into Etsy or Amazon Handmade for people looking for those types of products. Does what you're selling go with your personal passion and build on your own experience? And does it capitalize on trends early? And one thing that's smart to do is read customer reviews on products that similar to yours that you're thinking of selling, and see what are the positive and negative comments like, because this can help give you some informed ideas about how well your products will do when you list them. You can also browse what's trending on online marketplaces. Amazon offers a handy indicator. They say what the #1 seller is in any given category, which changes daily. And there's other websites, third-party websites, which analyze Amazon selling patterns and help you understand what's selling well. So you can kind of identify where opportunities may be. And always sell products with higher profit margins, because when you sell on an e-commerce platform, it does kind of commodify your products. And so ultimately, it's a little bit harder to sell at a higher profit margin than it would be, say, in a face-to-face interaction with a customer in a store or in a farmer's market or in a situation like that. And always be on the lookout for new trends and opportunities, because your competitors are certainly always staying active and looking for opportunities as well. So the next thing you're going to do is, when you choose the e-commerce platform you want to sell on, is set up your e-commerce template, which is really your store's look online. And most e-commerce platforms are going to give you a range of good-looking templates that you can start from. And you can ask yourself, when you're looking through these, what features do you want your store to have? What style of homepage do you want? Do you want it to have 3 columns or 4 columns of products? Do you want it to have a certain look or feel? And also, how do you want customers to move around your store? So if you want multiple buttons going to different product categories, or do you want everything listed on one page? So think about these factors. And once you pick a template, you can customize everything from the text size and the fonts to the colors. Of course, you can change the images and the positioning of products and add in the product feature details. You can do all of those things. So the next thing you're going to need to do is start adding your products. And you're going to do this if you have an e-commerce enabled website. You're going to do this on your website. If you're using an e-commerce platform, you'll be doing it on the platform, and the process will be the same. So you're first going to need to think of the name for the product, the price and the category it falls under, the weight for physical products, or the digital file for any downloadable products. This also goes for NFTs. You will need the digital file before you can sell an NFT of it. And there's 3 key ingredients when uploading your products, which are the descriptions, the images, and getting the product categories right. So the first thing here I want to talk about is the product descriptions. There are some things that you should avoid, which are using jargon and abbreviations. You can't assume that somebody's going to know what an abbreviation is typically, so you always need to spell those out. You want to avoid using cliches and long sentences. The research done about 1.5 years ago on the best-selling products on Amazon revealed a trend in their descriptions, which is a short paragraph of 3 to 5 sentences of a description, followed by 4 to 7 bullet points. And the best-selling products followed a pattern similar to this. So that's kind of what you should aim for, because nobody's going to want to read a multiple paragraph description of products. That just doesn't happen nowadays typically. So you want to break that up into bullet points when you can. Another key area for increasing your online sales is with your product images. Over here on the left, there's the image of a photography light box. And this is a simple setup. You can buy one of these on Amazon or create it yourself if you're inclined. And the goal is just to create even and consistent lighting among your products as you take photos of them. Having good product photos are going to help you charge more for those products and to get more sales of your products. So here's a few more tips that you should follow. Always use high quality images. So you don't want to use an image that comes out looking pixelated or blurry. You want to make sure each image is the same size and the same resolution. Typically, a resolution of 1,000 by 1,000 pixels, or PX, is going to be just fine. In some cases, you might want to go up to 2,000 by 2,000 pixels. If you say you want to have people zoom into your images, or you have really fine detail that you really want to be seen, maybe you have a leather work or stitching or something like that, that's important that they can see the fine details. You shouldn't ever really need to go above 2,000 by 2,000 pixels for a product image on an e-commerce website. And photos from a smartphone like an iPhone or an Android phone from the last few years will be sufficient for the most part. You don't need to invest in an expensive camera, but you do need a setup like this photography light box and a tripod and the lights that can help you avoid shadows and have consistent lighting between the products as you take photos of them. And also, if you have the option to have a 360-degree rotation of your product, some e-commerce platforms allow this, then I suggest you make use of that, especially if you have things that are of interesting detail around the object. It can help you increase your sales if you make use of those options. And similar with the zoom in option, if you see that as an option, then I would probably make use of it. Here's some examples of things you can consider when creating product images. You don't just have to take an image of, let's say you're selling women's shoes. You don't just have to take a pair of those shoes and from multiple angles and list it. You can go with something like one of these. So on the left is a dimension chart. This is really useful when you're trying to give a sense of scale for your image. So you would hire a 3D artist or graphic artist to make something like this. In this case, it looks like it's a cat holder for an Alexa, but it gives the prospective buyer some idea of the size and the scale of your product. The middle one is a comparison chart, which is really popular when you're helping to identify the strengths of your product over your competitors. So you can easily have this created by a graphical artist again, and you'll just highlight why your product is different and better. And the third one is a 3D image mixed with an infograph. This is good for multiple reasons. One, if your product has some secret stuff happening that's not visible to the eye because it's inside, then having a 3D image can really help users understand what's unique about your product and help you increase your sales. And similar with an infograph, you can just call out those main selling features, kind of like the comparison chart, but in a different format. And by using one or more of these types of images in your product sales and your product pages can help you increase your sales online. So I think it's usually really valuable to invest some time and maybe hiring a graphic artist to create something like this. The next thing you need to do when you're setting up your e-commerce store is set up a payment method so you can get paid when somebody buys your product. There's three main ways to set up a payment method. The first one is a merchant account and a payment gateway. With this method, you will partner with a bank, let's say it's Wells Fargo. They will accept payments for you and channel the money to your business bank account. And so Wells Fargo will handle that backend infrastructure for all of that. The second option is a payment gateway package. This is a third-party piece of software which can connect to your website's e-commerce shopping cart and deposit the money into your bank account. And the last one is simplified credit card processing. So this is quite evident in Shopify. Shopify has their own payment gateway they built, and so you can pay 0 fees if you opt to use Shopify. So depending on your unique situation, any one of these three can be the most cost-effective, but it's good to be aware of what your options are. And the last step is before you launch, you want to preview, test, and publish your store online. You're going to do a few things before you publish it. First, you want to make sure your checkout process works. So if it's a third-party site like Shopify or Amazon, you probably don't need to worry. They figured out how to make their process work. But if this is your own website, it's very important that you test this because the first time it might not work right. So buy something yourself, go ahead and issue yourself a refund and go through that whole process to make sure that everything came through properly before you launch your site. Next, make sure your store's buttons work. So any link or button that's supposed to take you to another page, make sure that goes to the correct place. And finally, going through the content, making sure the text doesn't have any spelling or grammar errors, but also making sure the images are not pixelated and also load quickly, making sure they're not gigantic file sizes. Sometimes you'll notice on an e-commerce page, multiple images loading at once, and one will be very slow, kind of loading in chunks. And that's an indication that that image is probably very large in megabytes, and that will need to be shrunk or compressed and re-uploaded to your website to make sure that viewing experience is good for people, especially on slower internet connections. So now that we've talked about building your own website and your e-commerce options, we're going to talk about digital marketing and how you tie this in with your online strategy to increase your online sales. So what are the advantages of digital marketing? Well, at the end of the day, digital marketing is one of the best ways to create growth of your online sales. And there's 5 main reasons why. The first one is it has a broad geographical reach. So with online marketing, you can target the entire world. You can target a certain country, a state, a zip code, a city. You can get down to any kind of area, large or small, that you want within just seconds. So it gives you a lot of flexibility when planning your marketing strategy. Secondly, it's very cost effective. It gives you a lot of flexibility on how you spend your money. So you can set a daily budget of $10 or $20, whatever you want, and you can really fine tune that. And studies have shown that compared to newspapers or television ads, online marketing is basically the most cost-effective strategy nowadays. Third, it gives you immediate and quantifiable results. So one of the things that I think is really important when selling online is looking at your data and your analytics. And any marketing platform, whether it's Facebook or Google, which are the 2 biggest, or another one, they're going to give you ways to track your metrics. Things like the number of people who viewed your ad, clicked on your ad, and converted and actually bought your product. Fourth, it offers easy personalization. So as we were just talking about, Facebook loves to gather data. Well, the way they monetize that is because then they sell your data on Facebook to advertising companies, which target ads based on somebody who has an e-commerce business like the one we're talking about. And so while some people don't like this aspect of the internet and data gathering, it does allow you as business owners to target to the right people, which at the end of the day, I think is good, because there's no point in showing your ad to 1,000 people if only one of those is even interested in your product, right? You'd rather show it to 1,000 people where 950 are interested. And that seems like a win-win for everybody. And this is why the major digital marketing companies are worth billions of dollars, because they can do this. So you can fine tune your marketing demographics to certain interests and certain ages, et cetera. So that puts all that at your fingertips with digital marketing. And the 5th advantage is that it offers easy conversions. So what this means is that a conversion is a sale. Somebody can click on your ad, they can view your product, and they could buy that product a minute or 2 later. So this is a very fast and easy way to monetize your product and to sell your product, versus maybe they read about it in a newspaper or see an ad somewhere in print. That process to buy your product is much longer, and it takes a lot longer. So these are 5 key advantages why you should be using digital marketing with any business that has an online focus. Now, I want to dive into several aspects of digital marketing and provide some more information about why they're useful and how you can be using them. And the first one is social media marketing. So the most popular platforms for social media marketing are here down at the bottom: Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, which is owned by Facebook now, and YouTube, which is owned by Google. So why would you market on these platforms? The first reason is because it can increase your brand awareness. So a key aspect of social media marketing is not necessarily just to push your product in people's faces over and over and hope they buy it, but it's to increase awareness about your company, your mission of the company, the people involved, and, oh, by the way, you can buy this product. But if people are aware of your brand, they like the mission, then the sales generally follow. And that is one of the strategies of selling with social media, is to first focus on increasing your brand awareness. Secondly, it offers useful metrics. So gathering data on who's viewing your posts on Facebook and Twitter, being able to understand what their hobbies are, their interests. It helps you understand who your users are, your target customers are, and you're then able to really hone in on your marketing message and how you market to those people. And finally, you can build trust and dialogue. You can read comments on a Facebook post about a product from your target customers. You can reply to those comments. You can build trust and dialogue with your target customer in a way that no other form of marketing allows. So these are some of the key reasons why social media marketing is, one of the largest forms of marketing in the world, if not the largest form of marketing in the world. And it's a really, it's an important thing for you to be aware of and to be focused on with your online marketing strategy. Another big aspect of online marketing is email marketing. And we've all received many of these, so I'm not going to talk about what this is, we know, but I'm going to talk about do's and don'ts, because some of these might surprise you. So some of the do's are you want to individualize the content in the body and the subject of the email as much as possible. So instead of just saying hi or hello or dear customer or something generic, you can import the customer's first name usually to make it really personal. You can state clearly what kind of emails a subscriber will get before they sign up for a newsletter or an email list. You always have to offer an unsubscribe option. This is typically built in by default if you use MailChimp or some other large provider, but if you're sending these through different means, you might have forgotten about that. So there needs to be an unsubscribe option always there. If not, people will just click that this is spam in their email provider. And what happens then is if Google or Microsoft or Yahoo or any email provider gets people clicking on that a lot from your email address, they're going to just say, oh, your email, or even worse, your entire domain is spam, and they're not going to deliver any of your messages again. And so you don't want that to happen, especially if you've invested in a domain for your business, you have your own website. If that gets blacklisted, you have no recourse. You're really in trouble there. So you don't want people to click that those emails are spam, hence the need for an unsubscribe option. You can have a mix of transactional and promotional emails. So again, part of the online marketing strategy is to build trust and dialogue, not just to focus on shoving products in people's faces. So your email should contain both tips and tricks and useful things like news items, as well as transactional emails about buying your products. Because you want your target people reading your emails to see your emails as a valuable service, not just a promotional tool. And some things to avoid: overhyped subject lines. So don't use all caps or exclamation points in the subject. Always have an email address that somebody can reply to. Now, a lot of times, if you email Google or Microsoft or Apple, it's to or if you get an email from them, it's from an address that says no reply, which means nobody's going to read it if you reply. Now, for those big companies, that's just what makes the most sense. But for a small company like yours, you want people to reply, because if they have questions or comments, you want to get that feedback. It's super important to building your business. So always send your email from one that can be replied to, like contact at or support at or info at, something like that. You don't want to send emails that have no value. You don't want to send emails that have too many call to actions that can just confuse people and they end up doing none of your actions that you would want. Don't send an email that's too long. Typically, a 1 page of text is all you should be trying to consider. And even then, it should be broken up with images. You be preferable to segment your email list. So what this means is that if you have 1,000 people and half of them are college students and most of the others are, let's say, football moms or something like that, breaking your list into logical segments can be smart, because you can send an email just to one segment, say the college students, talking about a product or service you have, targeted at them, not at the other demographics that aren't interested. And that can reduce getting irrelevant emails. You want to make sure your emails are optimized for mobile. And if you send from MailChimp or some large platform, they're going to take care of this for you. But if you're sending them yourself or through some other means, you might find that your images kind of scroll off the side of the screen or appear really small, or the text is really small on mobile. So all sorts of problems can crop up. It's best to always just do a test email to yourself first before you send it out to your entire mailing list. You don't want to send emails at the wrong time or too many. So the general rule of thumb is it's good to send emails in the morning between 9 and 10 a.m. This is a good time when people are starting work and looking for maybe a little bit of distraction before they dive in, so they have a chance to open emails. And also in the evenings between 5 and 6 p.m. when people are leaving work, they tend to take a few minutes to see what personal emails they might have gotten. And also don't ignore analytics, because you're going to capture all sorts of useful data about who's opened your emails, where they're located. Sometimes you can tell what their job titles are. You can tell what their hobbies are if Facebook is getting data for you. So that is really useful data and analytics, and that will usually be made available to you in a report at some point. So make sure that you don't ignore those factors. And the next aspect of digital marketing are paid ads, also called pay-per-click or PPC. And this is simply what we were talking about before, a paid ad that will drive traffic to your business website or to your product page listing specifically. And so you will post an ad on an ad network. So the largest ad networks are Google, Microsoft, YouTube, which is owned by Google, Facebook and Instagram, which are combined, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Pinterest. And so all of these use a similar approach when deciding if they're going to display your ad when somebody searches for something. So the factors are the ad quality, which means that you have spelling errors or weird grammar or punctuation. Those will decrease the quality of your ad. Is it relevant with the keywords? So if somebody types in glaze, pewter, bowl, and you're selling pewter bowls, then the more words you have on the product page or the page where that link goes that match that search term, the better. So you want to be aware of what your target market is searching for, what words they're typing in. And if you're at all in doubt about that, there are several tools which can help you find which keywords people are using. So the keyword relevance is very important. The landing page quality is whatever link that ad takes people to, the search engines are going to analyze that link and say, look, this page has a lot of problems. That's going to give it a low landing page quality, or it might say, this landing page looks great. It works on mobile. The images aren't too large. There's an appropriate amount of text and images. So many factors they'll look for and give the landing page a high quality. So you want to make sure those landing pages are set up properly and they're working well. And finally, the bid amount. So because it's pay per click, you pay when somebody clicks on your ad, not when somebody ignores it. So the bid amount is set by default, but you can usually adjust that if you want to, if that makes sense with your strategy. So paid ads are usually a very critical component of an online marketing strategy. They're, of course, one that you do have to pay for. So depending on your marketing budget, you might decide to allocate money to paid ads or to another option that we talk about here. So these are all strategic decisions that you'll make. And myself, I can help you understand these decisions better, and things like one-on-one meetings, and help you define for your business what would be the best approach if you're at all in doubt. The next aspect of online marketing is a free one. This doesn't cost anything. It's search engine optimization. And what SEO does is increases the organic website traffic you'll get. And that just means when somebody searches like Google or Facebook for blue pewter mug, and they see your website come up or your Facebook page come up and they click on it, now you've got a free visitor and you haven't paid for that. So how do you increase your SEO? There's 4 aspects that go into SEO. The first one is the quality of the content. So that means that the content here is the page that will return in the search result. So again, if that page has grammar errors, if it has funky punctuation, if it looks like it is low quality in many ways, and we can talk more about what that quality is later if anybody's interested. But if the quality appears to be low, it will hurt your SEO rank. The second one is the level of user engagement. So search engines know how long people spend on different pages of your website. So if people spend generally 5 seconds on your homepage and then leave, that's a very low level of user engagement. And that will definitely hurt your SEO score because the search engine thinks that there's nothing relevant on this web page for people to see, and they're leaving right away. Third is mobile friendliness. So over 60% of websites today are viewed on mobile devices. If your website is not optimized for mobile, the search engines will know, and they'll seriously reduce your SEO score because of that. So if you have a website that's within the last 2 or 3 years, you're probably mobile optimized, probably nothing to worry about. But if you have an older website than of around 3 years, you might be concerned because that's the point where things might not be as compatible. So it's always good to check that out yourself on multiple types of mobile devices like iOS and Android, different screen sizes and stuff, if you have an older website. And fourth is the number and the quality of inbound links. So an inbound link is somebody, if you have somebody who's written a blog post about your product or company and linked to your website in that blog post, or they had a tweet about it and they linked to the website in the tweet, all of those types of things are inbound links, which the more those you have to the website, the search engines think, oh, this website is really popular. There's 50 or 100 other websites that are linking to it, and they're sending X amount of traffic there every month. So this definitely helps boost your SEO score as well. And finally, to tie this all together is a conversation about analytics, because it's so important to understand what data to be looking at and how to take action based on that data. What are the insights telling you? Where are there opportunities? These are all the questions that the analytics will be illuminating for you. So I want to go through the 6 main analytics for digital marketing so you understand them. The first one is the traffic source. Well, the traffic source is, where did the visitor come from? So it could be a direct visitor, which is somebody who typed in your website or went to a bookmark that they previously saved and just jumped to your website. That's a direct visitor. An organic search result, like just mentioned, would be somebody who just found you through Google or Bing or Facebook search. Not a paid ad, just the organic part. And the third one would be a referral. So this would be, like I said, the blog post, or if you have an affiliate helping you market and they're linking to your website, that would be through, all considered a referral traffic source. The second metric is the page views. This is the number of times a user loads your pages. And also, if you have, say, 10 pages on your website, which of those pages are getting the most viewers? If a page has high views, but there's low revenue being generated from it, that could indicate that there's a problem. Maybe you have a broken link to like a checkout page. Maybe there's a product image that is pixelated and blurry, and people lose confidence that they want to buy the product. So there's lots of ways that this can indicate there's issues. And so it's good to understand where your page views are happening. The next is the average session duration. The longer the user stays on your website, the better your rank with SEO. And also it just tells you that your website is delivering useful content. So you want this to be high. You can increase this by having more engaging information like videos and images that make people stay around longer. The bounce rate is a negative metric, so you want this to be as low as possible. This means the percentage of people who leave your site after viewing only one page, and even then staying for only 5 seconds or less. So if somebody is on your homepage for 4 seconds or 5 seconds and they leave, then that's a bounce. And search engines see that as, okay, there's nothing useful on this web page. So they're not going to prioritize it very much with SEO. Fifth is the exit rate, which shows the pages that the most people leave your website from. So ideally, this will be your checkout confirmation page, which indicates that somebody actually completed a checkout, purchased your product, you've made some revenue, and they leave the website. This is ideal, but you can use this to identify problems of where people are leaving the website. If everybody's leaving from the home page, but you've got 10 product pages, but nobody's looking at them and leaving from them, then you might wonder why. Maybe they're not as visible as you'd like, or don't have relevant data. So it can tell you different things. And the number 6 is the conversion rate, which is the number of people who visit your website, the percentage of those who then buy a product. Now, a conversion goal doesn't have to be buying a product, but usually it is, because that's how you make revenue. But say you're starting a company and you'd rather get newsletter subscribers. So then your conversion goal could be number of people who sign up for your newsletter. And you can track that as your conversion rate. So typically it's purchases, but it doesn't have to be. So I want to wrap all this up and summarize why e-commerce and digital marketing are these effective ways to increase your business online. So primarily because they offer insight into your customers' likes and preferences, their buying habits. You're learning about what on your website is working and not working, and learning how to better target your customers with digital marketing and things like email campaigns. So I'm going to leave you with a couple of tips that I've learned from working with over 100 small businesses on these topics. Tip 1 is always stay active. running an e-commerce store and online marketing, it's always evolving. It's important to continue to learn about new changes and trends. You can attend presentations, you can talk to other business owners about how they're marketing, you can read news and websites and read from thought leaders in whatever industry you happen to be in around digital marketing topics. And tip 2, a lot of people after coming to a presentation or trying to start, they just don't know where to get started. It seems overwhelming. There's so many options and it seems like there's so many wrong ways to do everything. But I recommend that you start with your gut instinct and just grow your digital marketing and your e-commerce business from where you think is most logical. Nobody knows your business or your startup as well as you do. And so you need to just start somewhere. And many forms of digital marketing are free. They just take your time and your commitment to them to make them successful. And finally, again, always learn from your data, whether it's on your websites, whether it's on your e-commerce store, or how successful your social media posts or paid ads are. All that data is valuable, and you can learn from it how to improve your tactics over time. Because your competitors are going to be using this type of data against you, essentially. So if you're not using the data properly, you're not going to stay competitive. And I think that's one of the biggest risks I see out there. And it's one of the biggest problems that I hear when I talk to business owners. So always stay active and start somewhere. Start with your gut instinct and grow from there. And with that, that concludes the formal part of this presentation. I'll be happy to